Mars said, pump up the volume. Spinal Tap turned the volume up to 11. And now it's the moment you've been waiting for, as Popcorn Skills does the same. You what? What do you mean it's the other type of volume? I've got my guitar out and everything. So what is volume? Not the loudness kind, the other one. Well, it's the space taken up by an object. Volume is measured in cubic units, like cubic centimetres and cubic metres. If you prefer your measurements a little bit more old school, then you can also measure in cubic inches and cubic feet. You might notice that these cubic units all have a 3 written after them. Well, this is a handy way to remember that a cubic unit is a measurement of a 3-dimensional object. Because there are 3 dimensions involved, you need to know what each of these dimensions are in order to work out the volume. Take this cube, for example. It measures 1 centimetre long, 1 centimetre wide, and 1 centimetre high. Sometimes the length is also called the depth or thickness. In order to work out the volume, simply times the width by the height and then times that by the length. 1 times 1 times 1 gives us 1 centimetre cubed. Remember that the 3 after the centimetre tells us that it's a cubic centimetre. This tin is 30 centimetres by 10 centimetres by 5 centimetres. To work out the volume, grab the calculator and times 30 by 10 by 5 to give us 1,500 centimetres cubed. In other words, it would take 1,500 of our original little cubes to fill it. Sound straightforward? Then let's up the ante and find out the volume of this wardrobe. I'm assuming that Narnia isn't bolted into the back of it. It's 150 centimetres wide, 200 centimetres high, and 50 centimetres deep. So we times 150 centimetres by 200 centimetres to give us 30,000 centimetres, and then times that by 50 centimetres to give us 1,500,000 centimetres cubed. Wow, maybe Narnia is in there after all. Well, this is all fair enough, but what about when the volume of something is a liquid? Take this fish tank for example. How do you know how much water is in it? Well, let's assume that it's 80 centimetres by 50 centimetres by 30 centimetres, and that the water is filled up to the brim. Times these together and you get 120,000 centimetres cubed. That's fine, but we don't often measure liquids in cubic units the same as we do with solid objects. Instead, we use liquid measurements like litres. Litres can be broken down into centilitres and millilitres, in the same way that a metre can be broken down into centimetres and millimetres. So where 1,000 millimetres go into 1 metre, 1,000 millilitres go into 1 litre. Now what's handy to know is that cubic centimetres and litres are all linked. In fact, 1,000 centimetres cubed is the same as 1,000 millilitres or 1 litre. So let's look at our fish tank volume again. 120,000 cubic centimetres is the same as 120,000 millilitres. So if we divide that by 1,000, we get 120 litres, because there's 1,000 millilitres in a litre. You might sometimes hear capacity mentioned. Capacity is not exactly the same as volume. Capacity is how much liquid something can hold, whereas volume is how much something is holding. Our fish tank capacity is 120 litres because that's how much water it can hold. But if we only fill it halfway, then the volume will be 60 litres. So let's recap. Volume is the amount of space taken up by an object and is measured by cubic units. Because a cubic unit is a measurement of a 3-dimensional object, you need to know what each of these dimensions are in order to work out the volume. Once you know the width, height and depth, Then times all of these together to work out the volume. When liquid is involved, remember that 1000 cubic centimetres is the same as 1000 millilitres, or 1 litre. Right, just time for me to get my guitar and play you some tunes.